My parents refused to fund my business, but they gave $115,000 to my sister. She's a winner. You're a loser. But she failed, and now they say my company belongs to the family. So I typed in a family group chat. Bye, losers. Well, let's go. My name's Clara, and I was the younger daughter, the one who spent hours in her room making tiny dresses for dolls while my older sister, Marin, was out conquering the world. Or at least that's how my parents saw it. Marin was 3 years older, went to a fancy private business school, and could talk about stocks and investments like she was born doing it. Me. I just wanted to make beautiful things. When I was 12, my grandmother noticed me hand-stitching a dress for my favorite doll. She watched me work for a while, then disappeared into her attic. She came back with this ancient Singer sewing machine, the kind with a foot pedal and everything. This was mine when I was young, she said, setting it on my desk. Maybe you'll get some use out of it. That machine changed everything. I went from making doll clothes to altering my own jeans, then making skirts from scratch. By high school, I was the girl everyone came to for homecoming dress alterations. While Marin was getting her MBA, I was at fashion school learning pattern making and draping techniques. After college, I got a job at a local atelier. The pay wasn't great, but I was learning from experienced seamstresses. Still, working for someone else felt limiting. I had ideas, designs that kept me up at night, but no way to bring them to life. I needed my own space, my own equipment, my own clients. That's when I decided to ask my parents for help. I spent weeks putting together a business plan, market research, competitor analysis, projected costs and revenues. The works. I calculated I'd need $28,000 to start. That would cover 6 months of rent for a small studio space, industrial sewing machines, sergers, fabric inventory, and basic marketing. I drove to my parents' house on a Sunday afternoon, briefcase in hand like I was going to a board meeting. Mom was in the kitchen making dinner. Dad was watching golf in the living room. "Can we talk?" I asked, standing in the doorway. "What about?" Dad didn't look away from the TV. "My business plan. I want to open my own atelier." That got his attention. He muted the TV and turned to look at me with that expression I knew too well, the one that said I was about to waste his time. I launched into my presentation anyway. Showed them the numbers, the market research, everything. "The wedding dress market alone is worth billions," I explained. "Custom alterations have a 60% profit margin. I already have contacts from my current job who said they'd follow me if I went independent." Mom hadn't said a word. She just kept chopping vegetables with unnecessary force. "How much?" Dad finally asked. $28,000. He laughed. "We don't have that kind of money lying around, Clara. You could take out a loan. I'll pay you back with interest within 2 years. It's all here in the projections." "Even if we had it," Mom said, finally speaking up, "this is too risky. How many ateliers fail in the first year? 70, 80%. Those statistics include businesses without proper planning. I have experience, connections, and a solid plan." Dad stood up, clearly done with the conversation. "The answer is no. Your idea is too risky. There's no profit in it. You have no chance of making this work. Stick to your job." I wanted to argue more, but what was the point? I gathered my papers, shoved them back in my briefcase, and left without another word. A month passed. I tried not to think about it, just kept working at my job, saving what little I could. Then came Dad's birthday. The whole family gathered at my parents' house. Marin showed up in a designer suit that probably cost more than I made in a month. She always did like to make an entrance. We were all sitting around the dining room table, cake in front of us, when Marin stood up with her wine glass. "Before we sing happy birthday," she said, smiling that perfect smile of hers, "I want to make a toast." Everyone turned to look at her. "Dad, Mom, I want to thank you both for believing in me, for supporting my dreams." She paused for dramatic effect. "Thanks to your investment, I'll be opening my exclusive clothing boutique in 3 months." The wine glass slipped from my hand. It didn't break, just spilled red wine all over Mom's white tablecloth. But nobody noticed because they were all congratulating Marin. Wait, I said, my voice cutting through the celebration. What investment? Marin looked at me like she'd forgotten I was there. Mom and Dad are helping me start my business. Isn't it wonderful? I turned to my parents. You said you didn't have money. You rejected me a month ago because you didn't have money. Dad shifted in his seat but met my eyes. We took out a loan. How much? 115,000, Marin said like it was nothing. For inventory, store rental, marketing, real business expenses. My chest felt tight. You took out a $115,000 loan for her boutique, but couldn't give me $28,000 for my atelier? It's different, Dad said. Marin has a business degree. She has a solid plan. I showed you my plan with actual numbers and research. Clara, please, Mom said. Don't make a scene on your father's birthday. A boutique selling luxury clothes is somehow less risky than an atelier. Are you serious? I'd be doing alterations and custom work. There's always demand for that. But expensive clothes. How many people can afford that? Dad's face turned red. Enough. We're investing in Marin because she's a winner. She's always succeeded at everything. You're a loser. The words hit like a punch to the gut. Winner, loser, that's how they saw us. I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. Happy birthday, Dad. I left without looking back. Behind me I heard Mom say something about me being dramatic. And Marin laugh. The next morning my doorbell rang at 8. I opened it to find Grandma Estelle standing there with her huge purse and a determined look on her face. Grandma, what are you doing here? Your parents are fools, she said bluntly. Always have been when it comes to you girls. They see Marin as flashy and you as practical, and they mistake flash for success. She opened her purse and pulled out her checkbook. I have savings money. I was planning to leave you and your sister when I die. Grandma, no. Hush. I'm old, not dead. And I've decided to give you your share now, when you actually need it. She wrote out a check and handed it to me. I looked at the amount and nearly fainted. $56,000. Grandma, this is twice what I need. Then you'll do it right. Get the best equipment. Rent a nice space. Make those parents of yours eat their words. I hugged her, crying into her shoulder. Thank you so much. Don't thank me. Just prove them wrong. 2 months later, I stood in my own studio space, keys in hand, still not believing it was real. The place wasn't huge, maybe 800 square feet, but it had good natural light and enough room for 4 sewing stations. I'd found it in the arts district, where rent was still reasonable and foot traffic was decent. My college friend Arielle Vaughn had agreed to join me. She was talented with embroidery and beadwork, skills that complemented mine perfectly. This is it, I told her as she walked in for the first time. Our kingdom. Our sweatshop, you mean? She laughed. But I love it. We spent the first week setting up. I bought 3 industrial sewing machines, 2 sergers, and a professional pressing station. The cutting table took up most of the back wall. Fabric bolts lined custom shelves I built myself. Our first clients were friends of friends, people who needed simple alterations or wanted custom pieces for special events. Word started spreading slowly. A bridesmaid dress here, a cocktail dress there. We were making enough to cover rent and materials, but not much else. Then 6 months in, everything changed. My cousin's getting married, Arielle told me one morning. That's nice. No, you don't understand. My cousin Isabella Corwin. Her parents own half the commercial real estate downtown. I looked up from the wedding dress I was hemming. Seriously? She needs a wedding dress. Something unique. She saw our Instagram and wants to meet. Isabella came in the next day. She was everything you'd expect from new money. Designer everything, perfect nails, the works, but she was also surprisingly down to earth. I've been to 5 boutiques, she said, frustrated. Everything looks the same. I want something that's actually me. Not just expensive. We spent 3 hours sketching designs, talking about fabrics, discussing her vision. She wanted something classic but with unexpected details. A dress that would photograph beautifully but also let her dance. "Can you do it?" she asked. "Absolutely," I said, already seeing the dress in my mind. Ariel and I worked on that dress for 2 months. Hand-sewn French seams, custom beadwork on the bodice, a detachable train for the reception. We documented the whole process on social media. With Isabella's permission. The wedding day arrived. Ariel went as Isabella's guest, armed with business cards. "You should see this dress," Ariel texted me from the venue. "Everyone's losing their minds." She wasn't exaggerating. By Monday we had 17 inquiries. By the end of the month, we were booked solid for the next 6 months. "We need help," Ariel said, looking at our order board. I hired 2 seamstresses, both experienced women who'd been laid off from a high-end department store. Our little studio was suddenly buzzing with activity. That's when I decided to really push our online presence. I hired a college kid to build us a proper website. We started posting daily on Instagram and TikTok. Every dress got its own photo shoot. We showed the whole process. Consultations, fittings, the final reveal. Clara's atelier. I wrote on every post. Where your dream dress comes to life. Custom designs for every body, every budget. The followers started pouring in. 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. Then Ava Langley DM'd us. "Holy crap," Ariel said, staring at her phone. "Ava Langley wants a wedding dress." Ava Langley, the lifestyle blogger with 2 million YouTube subscribers. Ava wanted to film everything for a series on her channel. The design process, the fittings, behind-the-scenes content. "This could make us or break us," I told Ariel the night before Ava's first appointment. "Then we better not break." We didn't break. The sword. Ava's series got millions of views. She titled the final video, "How These 2 Women Turned Fabric into Magic." The comments section exploded. Our website crashed from traffic. Meanwhile, my family and I hadn't spoken since Dad's birthday. I blocked them all on social media after Marin posted some passive-aggressive thing about people who can't handle family honesty. Grandma kept me updated though. She'd stop by the studio sometimes, bringing lunch and gossip. "Your sister's business is struggling," she told me one day. "She's spending more than she's making. Came to me last month asking for money. Said she needed it for inventory. Did you give it to her?" Grandma sighed. 56,000. Same as you. Fair's fair. I wanted to say that fair would have been our parents supporting both of us equally, but I kept quiet. 2 months later the truth came out. I was at the studio when Ariel showed me her phone. "Isn't this your sister's boutique?" The headline read, "Local boutique owner sued for selling counterfeit designer goods." I grabbed the phone and read. Marin had been passing off Chinese knockoffs as authentic designer pieces. She'd been caught when the actual brand did a quality control check. "It gets worse," Ariel said, scrolling down. "Tax fraud charges too." The boutique closed within a week. The lawsuit demanded $335,000 in damages. The tax penalties were another $120,000. My parents had co-signed the business loan. My phone rang 2 days after the news broke. Mom's number. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "Clara, we need your help." "No hello. No how are you?" Just straight to begging. "What do you want?" "Your sister's in trouble. The business, it's complicated. There were some misunderstandings with suppliers." Misunderstandings? She was selling fakes, Mom. That's not a misunderstanding. That's fraud. Don't be dramatic. Look, we need money. The lawyers are expensive and we have to pay back the loan. Sell the country house. It's worth at least $350,000. That should cover most of it. We can't sell the house. It's been in your father's family for decades. Then that's your choice. Don't call me again. I hung up and blocked the number. For a while there was peace. The studio was thriving. We'd hired 2 more seamstresses and were turning away work. Then came the day I'd been planning for months, the grand opening of our second location. We'd found the perfect space in the shopping district with actual storefront windows. This would be our showroom where clients could see samples and have consultations. The original studio would be purely for production. The opening party was packed. Clients, vendors, local media. Ariel and I had spent weeks planning every detail. Champagne, catered appetizers, a string quartet, professional photographers documenting everything. I was talking to a reporter from the local fashion blog when I saw them walk in. Mom, Dad, and Marin, dressed like they were going to a funeral. They pushed through the crowd toward me. "We need to talk," Dad said loud enough that people turned to stare. "This is a private event," I said quietly. "You need to leave." "Private. This is a family business," Marin said. "Built with family money." I laughed. I couldn't help it. "Family money? You mean Grandma's gift? The one she gave me after our parents said I was a loser who couldn't do anything." More people were watching now. Ariel appeared at my elbow. "Is there a problem?" she asked. "This is unfair," Mom said, her voice rising. "Marin lost everything, and here you are opening a second location. You should be helping your sister like you helped me. That money Grandma gave you makes this a family business," Marin said. "We should all have a share. I should be running this new location." "Are you insane? I have a business degree," she practically shouted. "I know how to run things." "You know how to run things into the ground. You committed fraud, Marin. You're facing criminal charges." Dad stepped forward. "Your sister made some mistakes, but she has the education and experience to help you grow this business properly. She has experience in selling fake designer goods and tax evasion." "How dare you?" Marin's face was red. "At least I had the courage to think big. You're just a seamstress playing dress-up. This seamstress playing dress-up has 2 successful locations and 0 lawsuits," I said. "Security." The security guard I'd hired for the event stepped forward. "Please escort these people out," I said. "This isn't over," Dad yelled as they were led away. "You owe your family." The party resumed awkwardly. People pretended nothing had happened, but I knew this would be gossip for weeks. A week later, a message appeared in the old family group chat. I'd forgotten to leave. "Mom, we're suing for half of Clara's business. Our lawyer says we have a case since it was started with family money." My heart stopped. Then I saw the next message. "Grandma, try it and I'll disinherit all of you. Every penny goes to Clara. I've already updated my will." "Mom, Mother, you can't be serious." "Grandma, dead serious. Leave Clara alone or lose everything. Type quickly, buy losers." The exact words Dad had once said to me. Then I left the group chat. 2 months passed. The new location was doing incredibly well. We'd started offering sewing classes on weekends, which were booked solid. I was even thinking about franchising. Grandma came by one afternoon with her usual lunch delivery. "Thought you should know," she said, unpacking sandwiches. "Marin got a job sales associate at Nordstrom in the designer section, ironically. And your mom and dad sold the country house last month. Didn't get what they wanted for it. Had to take a lower offer for a quick sale. They're still paying off that loan." I felt a tiny pang of sympathy, but it passed quickly. "They made their choices," I said. "Yes, they did. Speaking of choices, I have a favor to ask. My 80th birthday is next month. I want a dress, something that'll make me look like the queen I am." I grinned. "I have just the design in mind." I spent 3 weeks on Grandma's dress, royal blue silk, hand-embroidered with silver thread. A classic silhouette that was elegant but comfortable. When she tried it on, she looked 20 years younger. "Perfect," she said, admiring herself in the mirror. "I'll be the best-dressed woman at my party." "You always are," I said. "Your family will be there," she warned. I had to invite them, family politics. The party was at a country club. I arrived late on purpose to minimize interaction time. Grandma was holding court at the main table, looking absolutely regal in the dress. Mom, Dad, and Marin were at a corner table, pointedly not looking in my direction. I walked straight to Grandma, kissed her cheek, and handed her my gift, a matching silk wrap I'd made to go with the dress. Happy birthday, Grandma. You look amazing. Because my granddaughter is a genius with fabric, she said loudly. Several people came over to admire the dress, asking who designed it. Clara's atelier, Grandma said proudly. My granddaughter, Clara Winslow. She has 2 locations now. I caught Dad's eye across the room. He looked older, tired. Mom was staring at her plate. Marin was on her phone, probably looking for an escape. They'd chosen Marin's flash over my substance. They'd chosen to support fraud over honest work. They'd chosen to threaten and demand instead of apologize and support. And now they were living with those choices. 6 months after Grandma's party, my business had grown beyond my wildest dreams. We had 2 locations, 12 employees, and a waiting list 3 months long for custom wedding dresses. I was in my office working on sketches when Ariel knocked. There's someone here to see you. Says she's your mom. I looked up from my designs. Tell her I'm busy. Clara, she looks different. Maybe you should see her. I found Mom in the showroom, looking at our display dresses. She'd lost weight, and her clothes were simpler than usual. No designer handbag, no expensive jewelry. What do you want? Asked. I wanted to apologize. The words came out rushed like she'd practiced them. We were wrong. Your father and I, we picked favorites. We always saw Marin as the successful one because she was flashy and confident. We didn't see your talent. And it only took you losing everything to figure that out. She flinched. We haven't lost everything. We still have our house, your father's pension. We're managing. Marin's doing better. She's seeing a counselor. The court mandated it as part of her plea deal. I didn't ask. Mom twisted her hands together. I know you'll never forgive us. I just wanted you to know that I see it now. What we did to you. Do you? Or are you just here because you need something? I don't need anything. I just miss my daughter. You missed me for years while I was right in front of you. You'll survive. She nodded, tears in her eyes, and left without another word. Ariel came back in. You okay? Yeah, just the past trying to crawl back. Speaking of the future, Ariel said, grinning. Remember that investor who reached out last month? The one wanting to franchise. She's offering $2.3 million for a partnership. She wants to take Clara's atelier national. I sat down hard. $2.3 million for 40%. You'd still have control, but she'd handle expansion. That's life-changing money. You've earned it, Ariel said. I had earned it. Every stitch, every late night, every difficult client. I built this from nothing but talent and determination, and Grandma's faith in me. I called Grandma that afternoon. I have news, I said. Good news from your voice. I told her about the investor, the offer, what it would mean. You'll take it, she asked. I think so, but I wanted to run it by you first. Sweetheart, you don't need my permission. You never did. You just needed someone to believe in you. You gave me that, and the money. The money was just paper. The belief was what mattered. The deal went through a month later. The first new franchise location would open in New York, then Los Angeles, then Chicago. The night before the contracts were signed, I hosted a dinner for my employees. We'd rented out a nice restaurant, just our team. To Clara, Ariel raised her glass, who proved that sometimes the underdog is actually the champion. To all of us, I corrected. This doesn't happen without every person in this room. As we were leaving, I spotted a familiar figure at the bar. Marin having drinks with some friends. She saw me and froze. I could have walked past. Should have, probably. But something made me stop. How's the job? Asked. It's fine. I'm actually assistant manager now. I paused. I heard about the franchise deal. Congratulations. Thanks. Clara, she said quietly. I know I have no right to ask, but do you think we could ever be sisters again? I don't know. Maybe someday. But not now. She nodded. I understand. I really am sorry for everything. I left her there and went home to my apartment, the one I was about to upgrade to a house. A real house paid for in cash. No mortgage needed. 3 years have passed since that night. Clara's atelier now has 15 locations across the country. I bought Grandma a condo in Florida where she spends her winters. She still comes back for the summers, still brings me lunch sometimes. Mom reached out once more through Grandma. She wanted to know if I'd design a dress for her retirement party. Tell her to check our website, I said. She can book a consultation like everyone else. She never did. Dad had a heart attack last year. Minor but scary enough. I sent flowers to the hospital. No card. Marin's doing well from what I hear. Promoted to store manager, engaged to some accountant. Good for her. She sends me Christmas cards. I don't respond, but I don't throw them away either. Sometimes people ask if I regret cutting off my family. If I miss them, I tell them the truth. I miss the family I wished I had. The one where parents supported both daughters equally. Where success wasn't measured by flash, but by substance. Where stealing from your sister was unthinkable. But that family never existed. What I have now is better. A business I built myself. A chosen family of friends and employees who respect me. A grandmother who saw my worth when no one else did. And most importantly, self-respect. My parents called me a loser, said I couldn't do anything. Last week, Forbes ran an article about successful female entrepreneurs. There was my picture next to a headline. From rejection to riches. How Clara Winslow built a fashion empire. I had it framed, not for my office but for my workshop, right above my sewing machine, where I can see it every time I sit down to create something beautiful. Turns out the loser was the winner all along. She just needed the right people to bet on her. And sometimes the right people are just herself, and one grandmother who believes in dreams.